So you want to be a hacker, but you also hear that cloud is the way of the future. Well, in today's TCP Handshakes chat, I'm going to be talking with somebody who's combined both. Hey everybody, what's good? What's going on? JB here with another CyberInsight video. Today I'm going to be talking with Leron Gray, who is a red teamer for Microsoft who specializes in pen testing Azure environments. We're going to be chatting about a whole bunch of stuff: cloud, certifications, pen testing, and even his music career as a Nerdcore rapper. So we're going to go hop into the chat. If you like it, you know what you need to do. I appreciate it. All right, let's get into the chat with Leron. I feel kind of like underdressed though, with your sweater and the hat, man. At least I'm wearing red, I guess. So it's like
close enough.
Close enough. Yeah. Man, so I appreciate you taking the time to come on the TCP Handshakes chat. The whole idea is to bring on cool people that I meet on Twitter and, you know, kind of just talk about how they got into their respective fields and some cool stories, some good advice for folks who are trying to break in and stuff like that. I don't know, you want to just kind of give everybody a little bit of a background on who you are? Some folks will know you as mcse, and some folks, this might be their first time catching you and all the goodness that you're about. So if you want to kind of just give a little breakdown, that'd be cool.
So yeah, it's weird because my music and work life mixed years ago, but I've always managed to keep them separate.
Yeah.
Until recently. But like most people who may know me as Oh My.
Yeah.
And then most people in InfoSec who know me as Daddy Coco Man, since that's my handle.
Yep.
And it's always been like a weird mix of how do people address me, whatever. It's like my Twitter, for example, is MCOMI.
Yep.
I've never wanted to switch over to Daddy Coco Man because my Twitter is like a music first account. So like I do music things there. And then I started, like, let me do some InfoSec stuff there. And but ultimately my name is Leron. And so I mean, you can't go wrong with that, I guess.
Right.
It's
and people strangely will be like, hey, we never see the two of them at the same location. So you got like alter egos.
So I have like a hat. I don't know if I have one nearby, but I have like a hat that I usually wear when I'm performing.
Yep.
And then I usually have like my do-rag when I'm at like conferences.
Sure.
And so I always have some headwear on. Always. Just some public appearances headwear.
You are a red teamer, and you specifically at the moment work doing stuff with Azure for Microsoft. Do you want to kind of give a little bit of a background on how you got into that area of IT?
So I was in the Navy, and I was going to get at my 6th year mark. I was going to get out. This was in 2014, and I was going to get out and go get a degree in like biometric engineering. And
man, like I didn't even know they had degrees in biometric engineering. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's like one in West Virginia somewhere.
Okay.
I was like, okay, all right, random. But I was gonna go try that out, and then I found out that like the Navy's like cyber field was open, and I was like, okay, I'll give it a couple more years and see where I end up.
Yep.
And that was probably like the best decision I made for my career, was jumping from doing just electronics over to the cyber world. And it was, once I got through there, through all the training and stuff.
Yep.
Worked, for 4 years there, and then I knew I was gonna get out at 10 years because I didn't want to make any more rank. I didn't want to make chief. I was up for chief. I was eligible. I was like, I don't want to do it. And at that point, it's kind of a career defining moment, especially like the 10-year mark, right? Because either you do 10 and you finish 10,
right,
or you finish 20.
Yep.
Right. And at that time I was just like, well, if I let's make chief, then I end up doing like random paperwork somewhere.
Right.
I don't really have much control over my career. And then I moved up to the Seattle area. And I was trying to find a job somewhere. Ended up doing web app pen testing for about a year.
Okay.
And through just a ridiculous series of events, I ended up getting this job at Microsoft.
Oh, that's awesome. So
on the Azure
things
team.
align pretty well in moving to that location then.
Yeah. It was really weird because I don't think I would have this job if I didn't go to those particular series of events.
Yeah.
So it was nice. Yeah.
Did you have any practice or education in doing the pen testing or red teaming stuff prior to getting out, or did you just completely pick that up like once you got out?
I would say so. Like all the knowledge that I have of like cyber stuff, I started in 2014, right?
Okay.
So like from the basic training that they
Yeah.
give you, and it's pretty generic. It covers a wide like variety of stuff,
Sure.
like malware analysis and network, analysis, like down to like writing the packets. Right? It's
Yeah.
ridiculous, but like all my offensive cyber security stuff did come from like that Navy time,
Okay.
and then I wasn't my job as a like if you look at my LinkedIn, it says like operator. That particular type of operator is very different than what people might think. But it gave me the opportunity to like get certs and stuff like
Yep.
in SAN certs for the pen testing and all that stuff. So I took advantage of the opportunity because I knew I was getting out, and I was like, let me focus as much as on either I wasn't sure whether I wanted to be a red teamer or incident response or something at the time.
Yep.
But once I started the CTFs, and I was like, oh, this is great, this is amazing. And so I just kind of kept going with that until like the day I got out. So by the time I got out, I had like a bunch of certs that I just snatched on my way out the door. And I was like, pay for this.
Did you
Thanks.
try and drag some other folks with you through that when you were doing that? Because that's always one of the things that kind of is disheartening is when you see folks in the military that have those opportunities that were there and they don't necessarily, take advantage of it.
Yeah, so I tried to make sure that because I was a first class, so I was an E6, right? And I was a supervisor.
Yep.
I tried to make sure that everybody who worked for me knew about these opportunities.
Yeah,
And I was
most
like,
definitely.
listen, go sign up for this class. It's open. And like I was pretty much one of the only people who were paying attention to those type of opportunities
Yeah.
for certs. And that's no fault of like anyone else. It was just the way that the Navy sort of handles its its CTNs or the cyber fields is kind of loose. So I was like, here, take these opportunities, find a thing that you like. You may not like your current job now, but you might like a different area and something. Just find something of interest. And so I just try to make sure that people knew that these opportunities existed. It was up to them ultimately to, take that and do something with it.
Yep.
A few people did. Most didn't, unfortunately.
Now you have a bachelor's in cyber ops, right?
Yes.
And then you are wrapping up your master's in, what was it? Some type of like cyber defense?
Yeah, cyber defense.
Okay, cool. Cyber operation stuff. Were you working on that degree while you were in the Navy, or you did that? Yeah.
So I was taking like 3 or 4 classes a semester for 2 years. Because I was like, I need to get this before I get out so I can get a job.
Yeah,
so
most definitely.
I started that in August 2016. It was my first semester at Dakota State.
Yep.
And then I finished December 2018.
Oh, okay.
And so like it was just 3 or 4 classes a semester. And then I did like all the CLEP stuff for like the general ed courses.
I did the same thing.
I was just like, yeah, CLEP is great. Yeah, right, just take a test, get the credit, move on.
Yep.
And so I tried to just do as much as possible within those 2 years, and it worked out pretty well. So got my degree.
That's cool. How many classes do you have left for your master's at this point?
Just one.
Okay.
And it's only because I messed up the timing. I didn't realize that the course I'm taking next semester was only available in the spring.
Oh,
and so I would have taken it last spring had I known that. But
yeah.
Oh, it's okay. It's all right. I would have been done now if I didn't make that mistake, but it's okay.
We had talked before a little bit about you possibly leaning into a doctorate program, also at the same college, Dakota State. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Dakota State. So are you still looking at doing that, like maybe next year, starting that, or are you weighing options?
Yeah, I'm going to apply. Yeah. I talked to some of the professors and they're doing a lot of curriculum changes and the cyber operations PhD is based a lot around reverse engineering, malware analysis, right, and software exploitation. Those are the three primary like courses, right? And a lot of it is based on being able to do that low level, really in depth binary analysis kind of stuff, which has always been my weakness. Because like if I go to CTF and it's like binary exploitation, I can maybe do like a basic stack overflow or buffer overflow, and get away with that. But I think I'm going to apply anyway because why not? It's not going to hurt, right?
Right.
I think hopefully, I was told that there was a preference for people who have computer science degrees, which doesn't really make any sense to me, but I'm going to just go with it anyway and see what happens. And I will argue that if that that becomes the case.
With like binary exploitation, are we talking about like popping open like a Flare VM and like starting to do like that type of analysis, like static and dynamic analysis of code? And
yeah, absolutely. They focus a lot on that level of analysis in like IDA, like IDA Pro kind of stuff, definitely. Right? I think that's a requirement for one of the classes or something. You need to have IDA Pro, and it's definitely like that level of assembly that you need to be aware of. Right. Assembly language. If you understand that, they'll probably put you ahead based on what I've seen from the curriculum. And
I took a 2-day intro to class on that at Black Hat, and it was taught by Mandiant, and my head has not hurt that much in like, I don't know if my head has actually ever hurt that much. It was just because, I'm an architect, right? But what I like to do when I go to like those conferences is take classes that are completely outside of my lane of what I do, just because I think that gives you a better perspective on the things that I'm doing, right? But man, that class, I got through it, but I'm like, man, this is some hard stuff. This is like not fun. It wasn't fun for me at all.
Yeah, assembly is one of those things where it's the first time I encountered it, like at a CTF, for example, someone was like teaching me like I was like, how do I what does this mean, and how do I follow this this assembly language? And he briefly explained it to me, and I was like, oh, okay, now I get it. I think that having that one-on-one, closer, other than just getting like a curriculum of something thrown at you, especially like in a short event like Black Hat or whatever, it might be better. I did take an assembly course in the undergraduate program, and so I think it's in my opinion, like it wasn't like that complex, but it was a lot to take over the course of a semester. So I can't imagine doing that in 2 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, so I love the classes at Black Hat. I mean, so the classes are much better than the conference itself. And I've had some awesome, tremendous classes. Like I took a 4-day class from John Strand, which was awesome. I've done one with like LMG, which was really good. Sherry Deerdorf, I think is her name. She's went to MIT, and she has like a cyber consulting company out in the Midwest. But she's written a few books, like really, really good content. But man, yeah, that one was just just like, I'm just gonna hold on and hope I get through this, and I'm gonna pick up some things out of like, okay, I can now say that I've messed around with IDA Pro. I know the difference between static and dynamic analysis. I have some notes on some other stuff, but that's it. That's the most I'm gonna get out of this and survive.
So it can definitely be a lot. But it's for the people who are really good in that field. There's so much to learn from them.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So you mentioned CTFs. Do you have certain CTF events that you like more than others? Like you have like some favorites?
So I've been missing out on CTFs a lot in the last like year and a half because I've just been focused on so many other things. But I used to, when I was in Texas, I would go around to like all the CTFs, all the B-sides, for example. Just go to B-sides Austin, B-sides San Antonio, and do the CTFs there and try to win prizes. I was like, I'm gonna win. I would say now that like I still don't do as many CTFs, but if I did, I'd go back to like Hack the Box, right? I like Hack the Box a lot.
Yeah,
definitely one of my favorite platforms. And Try Hack Me also has a very good platform as well. So
I,
I haven't tried that one as much, but from the little that I've interacted with it, it's been pretty good.
I think with Try Hack Me, I think they do a better job of kind of teaching, if that makes
Yeah.
sense, as far as kind of like introducing you to concepts and walking you through, what you're trying to do. And I even think they have some now on Try Hack Me that are actually aligned with certain certifications. Like, so if you're going to go for like a pen test plus, like CompTIA's pen test plus, they have like a certain course or programs or whatever to.
That's a that's a weird one because
Yeah.
I did take the Pen Test Plus when it was in beta,
Yeah.
and that test was hard. I thought it was hard,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of other people did too. Like people who had been pen testing longer than I was, because I
Yeah.
hadn't even been a pen tester at that point yet.
Mm.
And it was it like people can like want to compare it to like the G Pen from Sans, but they're
Okay.
not really the same. Like the
Yeah.
Pen Test Plus covers a lot of like policies and like paperwork, for example. So like
Oh,
not
really?
just
Interesting.
like what would you do.
Yeah.
So they'll give you questions like, what would you do in this scenario? But
Mm.
they'll also ask you questions like, in which document would you put your services, right, that you're offering the client, like that kind of deal, right? And
Yeah.
it's basically like from start to finish,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and it
Like,
covers that. And I think that was really surprising for a lot of people. I didn't know any of those things. I still passed it somehow.
yeah.
But I was saying, like, I was like, oh, this makes the most sense. It's a really good test,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
I think that's the Pen Test Plus is definitely one of those certs that you probably want to get just so you have something that's other than practical. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There is some practical stuff to it, but other than as well.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's probably, as far as like pen testing certs go, probably one that's a little bit more accessible, especially from like a
Yeah,
cost perspective,
yeah,
right? I mean,
absolutely.
and probably a little bit more respected in some ways than some other certs that I won't name that you have to pay like $1,000 for, that some people.
I wouldn't say it's more respected. Like it's fairly new, and when it came out, I remember people were talking about different communities were
Hmm.
talking about like is it worth it and all that stuff. I didn't really hear a conclusion to
Yeah.
that conversation, but CompTIA as a CompTIA as a whole plays its role in
Yeah.
entry level certs. I
Yeah.
would
Most
say
definitely.
even some of the Pen Test Plus or I haven't taken the cyber security analyst one or whatever, but
Oh yeah.
CYSA I think it's called.
Yep. Yep.
But like these are all very good entry level
Hmm.
certs, and I think it leads into branching out into other certs that or other cert authorities that have more focused ones.
Yeah.
Um, so I wouldn't say CompTIA is more respected than in any other.
Well,
Uh,
I was referring to the fact that people always crap on the certified ethical hacker cert.
oh yeah, that one, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Pentest Plus is I thought we were talking about we
No, I wasn't. I
were talking
wasn't
about a
comparing
different
it to like offensive security or any of those
yeah.
certs. Like, but certified
Oh yeah,
ethical
certified
hackers, like what,
yeah.
$800 or $1,000, and
Is it? Oh no. Oh
yeah,
no. No, don't do
yeah,
that. Definitely go the Pentest Plus route if you're listening to this. If you're
yeah,
listening, go to Pentest Plus route. It's yeah. I think that Pentest Plus should be the what replaces CEH just
yeah,
everywhere
yeah,
because it's that much better.
yeah. It makes sense. I think that CompTIA, to your point, does a very good job of encapsulating vendor agnostic information for entry level certifications. They
Yeah.
if you actually learn the information that you're supposed to pass the test, then you're starting off down a good path on your career, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I've only taken the one Pet Test Plus, so I can't speak of the other ones. But like I know, and from what I've seen, and everybody who's gotten them, right, it's how you lead into whatever you want to get into,
Yep.
and like whether it's more Cisco certs, whether it's SANS
Sure.
or
Yeah.
OSCP or whatever. Even like I don't know, what is it, the RHEL certs, Red Hat
Oh
certs,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. They got a
When you
Linux Plus.
get
Yep.
up,
Yep.
yeah. So it's a great start for
Yeah.
all of that.
I'll date myself here. I took and passed my Network Plus and Security Plus back in 2006. So that was a while ago.
That's wild because in my high school we had the opportunity to um, take the A+ exam.
Oh, okay, yeah,
I didn't take it. I didn't take it because I didn't see a point. I didn't know what it was. I
yeah,
was just
yeah,
like, why would I want to take another test? It wasn't really explained to me in the in a good way. So um, yeah, it's wow. That must have been 2005, 2006,
yeah. I was in the Air
2006.
Force at that time. That was like my last year before I got out. So that was so long ago, man. It's like almost 15 years or 17 years or whatever it was. No, I don't even know. Lose track of time.
Wow. Jeez.
Uh, so I had a question about the way that you approach pen testing for Azure. If you're talking to other people that are getting into cloud pen testing, how much of overlap do you think that there is as far as the way that you would approach that and methodologies if you weren't pen testing Azure? So if you had to go out and start doing pen testing against Google, right? Google's cloud stuff, how much of overlap is there kind of in the way that you would go about approaching things?
So cloud pen testing is really just broken down into identities and services,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you have your identity, and that is, a user
Mm-hmm.
or a service principal. I think Google calls them like apps or something like that. And AWS also has some other name for it. I don't really know AWS and GCP that well.
Yeah.
So, but everything breaks down into identity is what you authenticate as,
Yep.
right? The roles that you have is that identity, and the services that the role has access to.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you break it down into those categories, then all the clouds are really the same.
Mm.
It's just a matter of understanding how each one implements each one of those uh, 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 concepts. So
Gotcha. Gotcha.
uh, if you learn one cloud, uh,
Nomenclature.
nomenclature, you can probably you'll have a better time adjusting to another cloud, right?
Mm.
It is only going to get easier if you fully understand one.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion. Like, I don't know if everybody would agree with me on there, but I think that as long as you break it down to those three, right, you understand how to pen test. You need an
Okay.
identity. You need to understand the roles the identity has. You need to understand the services.
Yeah. Have you seen any kind of specialization as far as pen testing certs that are specifically looking at just cloud services?
I don't think so. I know SANS has a new one called Cloud
Hmm.
Pen Testing, right?
Oh,
Or
okay.
something like
Well,
that.
then
It's
they're ahead of the
relatively new. I
curve,
think it came out.
probably.
Yeah, they came out with a lot of cloud courses, but they are relatively expensive, so they
Well,
aren't as
yeah.
accessible for the normal person just wanting to go get certified in
Right.
something.
Yeah.
Um, I can't think of one. I don't think that there is one.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, there will be eventually.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's definitely gonna be, orgs out there. Like, if, eLearn Security came out with a cloud cert, right, that would be, like, beneficial to them, right? Because, eLearn Security has, like, great certs, but, they don't have a cloud
what
one. I
what
think it'd
uh
be
what other certs do they have?
Oh, eLearn okay, so, I always, like, talk about how great eLearn Security is because, um, they're relatively cheap.
Okay.
So, for example, and this changed within the last 2 months, I think. Before, let's say before September, uh, you could get an OSCP-like exam,
Okay.
um, for, like, maybe it was, like, 1,500,
Hmm.
but, your time doesn't expire in your labs, right? You have,
Oh,
like,
wow.
forever to take the test,
Yeah.
and, um I'm sorry, your time does expire, but you get 120 hours,
Oh,
but those
okay.
120 hours are only active when you're using the lab, right? So if you
Oh,
go
so
to a lab for, like, 10
it's not
minutes.
like the clock just kicks off and then
Right.
you're hosed. Yeah.
So you can use it as, as long as you need to, right?
Yeah.
I have a cert that I haven't taken from them, because I got the cert, then I upgraded to the next level, so, like,
Hmm.
there's a V2 now, um, and I'm still sitting on that exam, right? I can go take it anytime I want.
Yeah.
I still have all the hours for the lab I want, and
Yep.
I ordered this, like, 2 years ago, So like, it's I they do very well for themselves. They're trying to compete with they they're not really trying to compete. They say that they're not, but they're really trying to compete with other certificate
Sure, sure.
companies. And so they have stuff like pen testing. They have web app stuff. They have uh, they have multiple levels of pen testing, right? There's 3 levels, like the basic understanding how to like use Metasploit kind of deal.
Yeah.
Um, and then you have to go like hack a little network.
Mm.
There's the one above it, which is like the OCP one,
Yep.
so OCP like one, where right, there's a buffer overflow kind of deal, right? Everyone knows about the buffer overflow in OCP, right? There is, but you also have to write a report, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
they don't mean like an attack narrative, not like the not like OCP where you just have to explain what you did.
Yeah.
Like you also have to give like recommendations for like how you fix it
Oh,
kind of
wow.
deal.
Okay.
Um,
Well, that's a
you
lot more
give like
valuable.
an yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why like that, in my opinion, like that cert is better than what OCP
Yeah. Yeah.
offers, because you have to be able to explain to somebody
Mm.
what the value of the risk, or what the what the risk means from
Right.
a business perspective, and
Yeah.
not just here's how I did it. Go ahead, go ahead and fix it. Right. So I always praise them for that. They have some other ones too. They have added more like blue team stuff. So like
Okay.
forensics and threat hunting,
Yeah.
um, incident response kind of deal. So I'm definitely going to check that out. And I mean, so I was saying that they were relatively like expensive, and I think what they did in the last 2 months, because someone messaged me about it like 2 days ago. I looked, and they have like a new service now where you pay $2,000 a year
Mm.
for all their courses,
Oh, wow. Okay.
and you get like this is not an advertisement, by the way.
We are going to
Like,
put their link in the description below,
oh, for sure.
so if people want to
Okay,
go
cool.
take a look eventually.
So it's $2,000 a year, and then you have to just pay for like each individual cert, right? And it's like
Okay.
$400.
Yeah.
So like it's not as accessible to like as it may have been before,
Yeah.
but you get a lot more for that price point, I think, because now I can go look at any class I want and decide
Sure.
which cert I want to go take. Right? It's a pretty
Well,
great system I
especially
think they
also
have.
if you work for a company that has some type of educational benefits or something like that,
Yeah,
you might be able to spin that as, your educational benefit for the year, right? If you aren't taking college
yeah,
classes and
absolutely,
stuff like that, then that would definitely be worth it for sure.
absolutely, because they cover a variety of pen testing, blue teaming stuff, and their content is just like really good. So
Yeah.
uh, definitely, but still no cloud certs.
No.
They should. No cloud certs.
Just, yeah, we're planting that bug. Eventually
Yeah,
some people will get it. Because, I mean,
yeah. Hope.
it's what everybody's moving towards. And, all these cert people love to make money off of their certs. So it's only a matter of time before.
I was telling my manager at the end of last year, like in December, roughly around this time. I told him, I was like, I have a feeling that next year, which is this year, like Azure pen testing and red teaming is going to be like the topic
Yeah, yeah.
of the year. And sure enough, uh, within January and February, uh, some very major, Azure pen testers and red teamers started like dropping tools
Yep.
and like frameworks and stuff like that. And I'm like, called it. And like even Bloodhound now has like
Yep.
Azure stuff. So like everyone is definitely, as everyone moves to Azure related things,
Yeah.
it's definitely going to be, I think, even bigger next year. Like AWS had their moment with that one company that made like the AWS pen testing framework.
Hmm.
Um, and I just figured Azure was next. I don't know if anybody really cares so much about GCP.
Yeah, yeah.
I never hear anything about it. I don't know a single person who specializes in GCP hacking, but I'm sure there's somebody. I'm sure there is somebody out there.
Somebody has to, I
Yeah,
guess. Yeah.
like somebody who doesn't work at Google
Right.
probably has to. But I just never heard about it myself. So we'll see how that that goes, I guess.
Now, you mentioned Bloodhound, and you have a tool set that is it completely yours, or is it one that you helped build with other people, the Storm Spotter?
So Storm Spotter is It was originally based on a tool that somebody who worked at Microsoft on the Azure Red Team before me wrote.
Yep.
But it was very like simple. So it would collect all the information and throw it to Neo4j
Hmm.
directly. And because of some requirements that I had at work, I couldn't really use it for what I wanted to do. So I was like, let me just take this concept and rewrite it
Yep.
in a way that not only that I can use it in different environments, but like somebody else can
Yep.
deploy it and use it as their own security tool. So it's technically owned by Microsoft, right? Because I wrote
Okay.
it for Microsoft. Um, but it is open source, which is great. So
Yep.
like you can always fork it and do whatever you want with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it's it was absolutely based on Bloodhound. As a matter of fact, the original the original internal name for it was Acid Hound, and I was like, I don't think we could call it that if we release it because that's just like I'm not really sure what the rules on that are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we just changed it to Storm Spotter, and it was like spot the storm in the
Right.
clouds. Ha ha ha. Kind of cheesy names, naming conventions. And yeah, so it's not really mine as much as I'm the only person working on it.
Okay.
Uh, but it's hopefully I can get more people to invest some time in it.
So if they're starting to, the folks that do Bloodhound are starting to kind of do that from a Azure perspective, is it pretty much going to be an overlap of like the output that you'd get from both of the tools?
So there will be some overlap, but the focus is different.
Okay.
You run Bloodhound if you are on a domain, right?
Yep.
And you have access to a domain. You run Bloodhound, even with the uh, Azure addition to it.
Yep.
You still need to be able to find a user that has that Azure credentials. And normally, like with AAD, what the way most companies deploy it is that every user in the domain has a user account in Azure, right?
Yep.
It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be the case. But that's how it usually is. And so you still it's still Bloodhound still focuses on domain level penetration testing. It may give you like some perspective of how you can jump into Azure and then jump back
Mm,
down to the domain,
yeah.
but it's still very domain based.
Gotcha.
Whereas Storm Spotter is based on if you don't have a domain at all, right? If you just have everything in your cloud,
Yep.
right? You don't have any on-premises infrastructure, uh, then you would use something like Storm Spotter because you can't use Bloodhound for that.
Yeah. Okay.
So like there is some overlap in the output. I think at Storm Spotter is definitely a lot more in depth with the Azure stuff that it
Hmm.
pulls because it pulls everything. But in order for them to keep Bloodhound collection as light as it is,
Yep.
right? They just want to get the basics, like so what does a VM look like? Where's the key vaults? Where's the
Yep.
storage?
Right.
I think those are the three that they pull. Whereas like I go and Stormspot goes pull out everything, finds all the relationships, and tries
Yep.
to find like every little misconfiguration that it can possibly find, or helps you find every
Right.
misconfiguration that you could possibly find.
No, I watched that. You gave a talk. I don't remember at what conference it was, but it was just a few months ago where you were kind of going over a use case with using Storm Spotter and walking through, all of that. It was great. I mean, it was really good. Um, Made it,
Thanks. So,
yeah. I mean, you did a really good job kind of breaking it down for somebody who like hadn't seen the tool before. And for me personally, I don't do any cloud stuff. So like everything that I know about AAD is all stuff that I read, right? So
yeah.
actually getting visualization on what that actually is and seeing a tool kind of interact with it and you able to pull out all this different information and explain, okay, well, because of this, I'm going to be able to go and do this or change this or view this. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks. I didn't know originally what scenario to sort of do. I figured just keep it basic, right? Somebody who doesn't have permission or who has permissions is something they're not supposed to.
Right, right.
And it's a common misconfiguration, right?
Yep.
Just as common as like, finding open storage accounts, right?
Right.
That are so I'm I'm sure like anytime I'll give the talk in the future, I'll come up with like new scenarios.
Sure.
But I, I'm glad that people are really enjoying that talk. I got a lot of positive feedback,
Hmm.
and I've been asked to do it again at other places. So
Cool, cool. Do you
Yeah.
have any other conference talks lined up for anything else?
No. Even the last two were sort of unexpected.
Hmm.
Uh, the the red team village one at Gray Hat
Yep.
was that one came up because one of the uh what do you call them, organizers,
Hmm.
was like, hey, I like your DEF CON talk, do you want to do another talk? And I was like, I don't want to do Python talk again. And yeah, so it all worked out well. I ended up doing like 4 different Storm Spotter talks in October,
Holy
2
crap.
internally and 2 externally. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
So, some of the other folks that do know you from your music and the nerdcore rapping and stuff like that, um, from the perspective of being in cybersecurity and being in an IT, how does music influence you in what you do on a day-to-day basis?
So when I first started rapping, this was like, man, this was in high school. So I want to say, no, this is junior high school. Like I used to do like silly stuff. And I guess it is sort of silly stuff, but like not as silly. I used to cut classes a lot in high school,
Mm.
and I would go to like lunch, and there'd just be people rapping and freestyling there. And I would try to like jump in. I was pretty bad at it, but I would try to like jump in and do little things. And then when I joined the Navy, I was like, I want to rap about the things I'm working on. And so I would do raps about like the electronic systems I was working on and the stuff like that. And it was also helping me remember things as
Sure.
well.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I can rap about this system and rhyme it a certain way that keeps it in my memory.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I can just sort of,
You're
try to
creating your
remember.
own like mnemonic devices for things in a way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
And then as that went on, I started doing like more just like nerdcore style, regular nerdcore
Yeah.
kind of deals. I don't like in the community. There's a wide range of topics to talk about,
Sure.
but most of it focuses on like video game and anime
Okay.
uh, music, and that's never really been my thing to like rap about.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's like one of the most common topics of nerdcore that you'll find. And so for me, over the last, I want to say maybe 5 or 6 years, I was just sort of not really putting out music
Mm.
as much. I would do like a couple of songs, maybe like one song a year
Yep.
kind of deal. And I was like, I don't really know what I want to rap about anymore because I'm not doing my old job. And now it's like I don't really do the video game and anime stuff that my friends do.
Right.
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 We go perform at conventions all the time. And I'm just usually like, this is not really my crowd, but I'm here just to support everybody and play music. Right. Um, but now like I've started to realize that like I can do um you know rapping about like hacking and all that
Sure.
stuff. Like I've met dual core like years ago, right? But I've never really considered myself to be like that interested in doing it
Mm.
until earlier this year, where I was kind of like, well, I was just like trying to think of like random lines and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, this sounds really good. I can do this. I can say that. And then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna really get into this now. It's like I'm motivated now to start doing music about the things that I work on
Yep.
as much as possible. At the same time, though, I do have like my normal fan base. I want to say normal, but like my non-infosec fan base.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's kind of like a weird mixture of how do I balance both of those?
Sure.
Or like if I write a song, how do I balance like all these, all this wordplay with something that people can actually understand if
Yeah.
they're listening to it and they don't fully get it. And so like I'm dealing with that sort of situation right now. But um I'm just trying to have fun with everything. Like if I write a song, it's gonna be fun. And it's gonna be whether it's about hacking or not, I think it's gonna be enjoyable for everybody
Now,
as much as I can possibly make it.
you have your own studio that you do like in your
This
place
is my
or
studio right here.
right there? Okay.
Um,
Perfect.
right here for me. Like this microphone is what I rap into when I'm
Okay.
rapping at home. I even have like the little eyeball, like the little foam thing
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
put on top. But I do most of my recording at one of my friends who lives about an hour away. He has like a studio in his basement.
Oh. Okay.
And
Cool.
so
Cool.
like my last music project was recorded there. And
Was
I will go
that
like I go
you're
to him.
talking about the country music song that you put out
No,
this past week?
that one I did here. That one I did here. But my last like album, Return of the Ohm, I did at his name
Oh,
is
okay.
Bill Beats.
Yep.
He lives about an hour away, and I did it at his place. And it was just easier to do because he has a lot more equipment than I do.
Yeah.
Like the last two songs I did, Brand New Era and Hack and Boner, I did here just because I didn't want to drive all the way over to his place.
Yeah.
He has like his own family, and I'm not trying to like introduce any new Rona elements or anything like that.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
So trying to keep everybody safe. So I decided to like re-up my own game. I bought my new mic. I bought my keyboard. I needed a new keyboard, so I got one.
Awesome.
And so now I'm just back to like doing music as much as I possibly can here, right? And also like to better my production skills and all stuff like
that. Does Microsoft ever ask you to come and MC anything ever internally?
What do you mean?
Well, so at Microsoft, do they ever ask you to come and perform?
Oh no, and it's I don't know how many people at work at Microsoft know about my music. There are people who message me all the time internally, and they're like, "Hey, I heard your song." I was like, "Oh, thanks, great." I don't know who you are, but I appreciate you reaching out and telling me that you enjoy the music, and it'll be from like random teams that I've never heard of.
Oh, okay,
so I'm like, yeah, thanks, great. I think the Dark Knight Diaries thing really had a really positive effect.
Yep.
And so no one's asked me to perform yet, but I've only been there a year, and so we'll see what happens.
Gotcha.
They did Microsoft did an intern project, I think about a year and a half ago. It was like this whole musical thing. It was pretty interesting to watch, and I don't know, I might find myself involved in that. They do it again. So that was really fun. It was pretty silly, but it was really fun.
Yeah. You need to figure out how to work Storm Spotter into your lyrics somewhere.
Yeah. So so that's another thing. Like in the last two songs, I talked about like how like it's difficult to rap about things and still make them accessible to everybody.
Sure. Yeah.
Like in Brand New Era, I literally said like there was a bunch of like wordplay in Brand New Era, and a lot of people haven't really gotten it. And the conversation has come up recently in like Nerdcore. Is it your fault as an artist, or is it the fans' fault? Like, quote, like who's responsible for understanding the content?
Right.
And it's become like a balance of both, right? I have to make things so that they're not like overly complicated, and hopefully whoever I'm aiming that song at can also understand it. So I said something like a devil with the payload. No surprise, I've been fire. Payload with the powers. Hell, I'ma make an empire, something like that. And like that was a reference to like Empire, right? Payload with the powers. Hell, I was trying to say power shell, but it didn't really come out that way. And like little things like that, like little wordplay like that, isn't really doesn't really catch everybody's ear. And so like I'm still trying to fill out how to do that. So as far as like entering like Storm Spotter, that's like a whole different level of
but so do you ever put lyrics in that are just for you? I mean, you know what I mean? Like you put something in there that just means something to yourself.
I would sometimes I try to, like when I write, I try to make things like I don't like doing things that like only I know about, because depending on who's listening, like not everything makes sense, right? And they would sit on it like, what does that mean? And I don't want people to just like sit on something like, what does that mean, for like the longest time. I'm not trying to have like thoughtful. I'm not a thoughtful rap introspective kind of person. And so it's easier to do like things. It's easier for me to write things that are just accessible.
I gotcha.
But like things that I know that I think are like super dope, whether or not anyone gets them. I did a guest verse for somebody recently for a song that hasn't come out, but I'm gonna tell you what I said anyway. And it said something like, I said like decorators in Python, my lines are wrapped in a way to put me on top where I define them at. And like to me, because I write in Python, like, I know what that means. that's a bar, right? But if somebody just like randomly listening, there's gonna be like, oh, that sounds cool. He said Python, right?
Yeah.
So it's I guess maybe it is for me. Maybe something like that is for me. Because I know it sounds dope, and hopefully somewhere down the line, someone's gonna catch it.
Yeah,
like, wow.
someone will get it. Yeah, for sure.
It's a weird struggle, but it is what it is.
Do you have any performance events lined up in the next year at all? I know COVID kind of throws everything into a mess.
I was supposed to do South by Southwest this year. I was supposed to do a couple of other shows in the summer, and all those got canceled. My next show is actually the DEF CON New Year's Eve party.
Oh, okay.
So I actually have to record that video like tomorrow, so it won't be live.
Okay.
And
gotcha.
it'll be that, and then I'm not sure what's going to happen next year. I'll just wait it out, see what happens.
Cool.
We may try to do like a virtual South by Southwest show. I'm not sure how that's going to work out, but it happens. You might be able to do it.
Nice. So you have any other things that you want to plug, or things coming up? Any other content or anything that you want to share with folks?
Not at the moment.
No.
I gotta go on a work trip for a little while.
Yeah.
And then when I come back, I will 100% be getting into recording music.
Yep.
Wherever little time I have as a break. And then
gotcha.
I'm going to try to put something out in March.
Okay.
But I can't guarantee it.
Yeah.
And if I can't put it out in March, it's gonna have to wait till May. It's kind of something I don't want to make any promises now.
Well, I'm gonna put links for all your stuff down in the description and that anyway, so people will have a whole bunch of different ways to find your music and your content and all that good stuff on social media. So, man, I don't have any other questions or anything like that, but I do appreciate you making the time and being as festive as you are. It makes me, I'm going to go eat like some Christmas cookies or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely appreciate you, coming on to the chat and, sharing a whole bunch of good stuff, man. So I hope you have, good holidays and all that stuff. And
thanks, you too. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, most definitely. All right, so that wraps it up. And as always, I hope that it was an entertaining chat for you. If you have other folks that you'd like me to interview, please drop those down in the comment section down below. If you have any other topics that you're interested in hearing about, I'd love to hear from you about those as well. I'm going to put all of Leron's links down below, so go check him out, check out all his content, check out all of his music. It's awesome. So hope everybody has a great week. Go get at it, and we will talk soon. All right, bye.